Hey, what is up, guys? It is Rapmark here.
Howdy with Casual Houseplant over here.
That's right, my occasional guest co-host. Glad you could join me for this one. So we are doing the third Bill and Ted,
Yes.
and it was epic. So before we start, it has been a while. This is the first one I've done for a while. COVID obviously made a mess of things. And then, of course, I was dealing with like some personal issues, which I covered in some of my vlogs. But now I am going to restart and start posting a lot more. So, with that said, we will see how things go.
Time to get into it.
All right. So, your thoughts going into this?
Thoughts going into it. I was worried that they would probably just kind of use the kids as an annoying plot point more than anything. But was pleasantly surprised that they're actually good characters that follow along with the story really well. They're more of an accent than anything else.
Yeah, exactly. And they also like developed their own little story path, which we'll go into later in the spoilers. But I mean, it essentially was like, so it's the continuation, obviously, if you've seen the first two Bill and Ted's, and this is a little late coming out, so a lot of reviews have already come out. There have been some really bad ones and a few good ones, and
Yeah, I got roasted.
honestly, I think it all just depends on the mindset you go in with it, because if you go into it expecting just all the same shit and just having it just be Bill and Ted, you're gonna be disappointed.
And even at that, you can't expect the same old jokes to still be funny. So they definitely had a way of making new jokes that still fit in with all the characters.
Yeah, because those first two were like what, the late '80s, early '90s?
'80s, '90s.
Yeah. I think the first one was like '89, and then the second one was like '91 or '92, something like that.
On exacts.
Fair enough. But yeah, I enjoyed it because it's the two guys you still love who have surprisingly for what 20, 30 years, like they aged really well. I swear Keanu Reeves is a vampire. Yep. He has to be a vampire. He never ages.
They're aging well. Stay fine.
Yeah, yeah. Even the God, what's his name? The
Where's the research page?
I know, right? We kind of screwed up there. I'm gonna pull that up real quick. But yeah, the person that he co-stars with, he aged well too. I mean, they both look great. Like you can tell they've aged, but except Keanu, who. But yeah, they look surprisingly great for how long it's been.
Yes, they do, and plus they still have the same attitude going into it, so they're definitely vibrant. Nothing's changed there.
I know, right? And I was just impressed, like, for all the callbacks that they did for this movie, and we'll talk about those more specifically again in spoilers, but I mean, they did make a lot of callbacks, but it wasn't like just milking on the nostalgia.
No.
Yeah, it built upon it while at the same time it just like, I get that. I remember that.
Just more hints at the past than anything. Indeed. And they definitely dive further into their future, which creates a whole new array of funny shit to go through.
Yeah. Alex Winter, I believe. Yes, that's Alex Winter. Yeah, he surprisingly aged very, very well. But yeah, and not going too much into it, but they did include George Carlin's character, Rufus. And they did it in a very non-weird, non-like more than it needed to be kind of thing.
It was tasteful, and they passed the reins on to someone else, which definitely made, again, for new dynamics. It was his daughter.
Yeah, what did you think of his daughter as a character?
I thought she was good. She wasn't overdone. She was only there when it was necessary for plot. But she definitely has a couple just prime moments.
Oh, yeah.
All I can say is robots.
Oh, my gosh, yes. That robot. So that was probably the big running joke, was that crazy robot. So, essentially, like, with all the whole time travel and the future, I was That was one of the best things. I'm struggling if I want to include any of that here. If I want to include in the spoilers, what do you think?
I say we do a rough just plot story first.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. So yeah, so we come in and they're
playing Ted's brother's wedding to Missy, that chick from the first two that went hopping around between the two boys' parents.
Like, hi, Missy. I mean, Mom.
Oh, sister-in-law. But they start playing song. Fails miserably. They've obviously lost their touch. But they still have to save the universe.
Indeed.
They have to make the one song to unite the world.
That's right. And I absolutely loved, like, when it came to the future, like, now Rufus' daughter came in and then you see the future, like, the difference between, like, the first movies and like, how the future's portrayed now. Like, you could, like, it would be what you would imagine, like, in today's thing, like, how the future would look very green, very white, very pristine. Whereas you remember what it was like in the first ones, like huge shoulder pads, freaking glitter and sequins everywhere. It's just like the future got weird.
Yes, but went with more of a minimalist approach in this one, which was nice and appealing to the eye.
Except for the actual time, like, Nexus, like, conduit things. Like, that was really good. The effects on that
was prime.
Oh yeah, I was surprised because, and they made fun of that too. That's another thing I loved about this movie is because you have to accept the humor of this movie because it's dumb humor, but it's a movie that doesn't take itself seriously, so it makes fun of itself in so many ways.
Fun, which just makes it easier for the ride. I think people were a bit overcritical about that, but it's like if you saw the first two, what were you upset about?
Exactly, because it was the same thing. There's so much absurdity into it. Like,
they just wanted a callback, I think, and that's what this didn't give you. It gave you new content to laugh about and joke about.
Mm-hmm. And then let's go to the daughters. Like, what did you think of that? Like, I'll say, I agree with you. I was worried about where the daughters were going to go. I thought they were going to be just annoying, like, just barely subplots.
Yeah, I thought they were just going to kind of be clones of Bill and Ted. And yes, they're very similar, but they're able to speak things out a little better than their dads.
Yeah.
They definitely have more of the technical knowledge going on. So, it makes for a very smooth ride through the past with them.
Oh, yeah. Because, again, it splits, and because Bill and Ted go on their journey and their daughters go on their journey. And so it essentially becomes two stories that eventually intertwine into one.
Being that Bill and Ted are jumping into the future so they can see, well, if we ask ourselves in the future what the song is, we can just write it down and skip the whole process because they've been on a dead point for years. As where their daughters want to help their dads. So they choose to go into the past and recreate an awesome band.
Indeed. Oh my gosh. And like the music they chose for it, I thought was the best. I was surprised.
Well orchestrated.
Yeah, I was actually amazed some of the names I saw in there.
Mm-hmm. Have a hell of a soundtrack.
Freaking big. I was just like, okay. So what song was that they did? Mastodon, not Behemoth. Yeah, Mastodon. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that was I was actually surprised as you were when I saw that rolling down. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, no. What a great soundtrack.
But yeah, there were a lot of people who were also like so involved in this that they had to include them.
Mm-hmm. Like Weird Al.
Yes.
He has a very small cameo, but he's still there.
That's right.
And Dave Grohl.
Oh yeah. I was a bit surprised.
The Grohl.
I was so surprised at that his character. Like, we'll get into it more, but oh my gosh, like when you just hear some of these people, you're just like, how is this a thing? And then it's just like, whatever, I'm gonna go with it.
It all makes sense in the end. Or at least ties together.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, and their wives. Like, what did you think of the wives? For like as minimal part as they played, they surprisingly played a decent, more role than I thought they would in this one.
Yes.
From what I was led to believe.
Being a recast for both, They still did a great job. They definitely portrayed them very well for being older. So I had no complaints there. And they have some pretty good moments. You gotta fix the music at some points.
Exactly. Dun dun dun. Oh gosh. But yeah, there's just so much to cover, but like it's so hard to do it without like spoiling so much on this because we're trying to do like non-spoiler on this. All right, what else is there? What about like what did you think about all the futuristic scenes? Because there was quite a few scenes that were done in the future, even arguably more so than were in the first two movies. If you think about
I
it,
just thought it was a great reality change because like the first jump they do is like 2 years in the future. So you just see like a bit of change, but then they keep jumping further and further. So you get to see like a more pathetic version of them each time up until towards the end. And then you're just like, how did we get to this point? But it's all Dave Grohl's fault, I'll tell you that.
Indeed. Like when we get into this, you'll be just like, your mind will be blown. But like, whoa, my brain's everywhere. Oh my gosh. But yeah, like they have, we got the yawns coming. But yeah, I mean, eventually it all comes to a head, and like, what did you think of essentially the whole thing of the end of the world as it was toward the end?
The end of the world is really stressful, and we're already going through it right now. So,
I know, right?
It really struck a chord with me. But
that's right. This is real life, people.
But with going through it, they are under a lot of pressure. I don't think realistically, despite being time travelers, they could have achieved this small length of time they're trying to match up with. So they have a very short amount of time to do everything in. So, gets pretty wonky. Bunch of different people jumping through time when they did not want to. Kid Cudi is bouncing all over the place in the timeline.
Indeed.
But it has a lot of interesting little ties going on that you get to see. And you get to see some of your favorite characters in the future as well. Not just Bill and Ted.
And one of the biggest callbacks and arguably one of my favorite parts of the movie, hell.
Hell. You saw it in the trailer, just the Death's still cheating after all these years. But you get to find out why the Wild Stallions all broke up. That's and right. Death's side of the story, which is pretty great.
It's amazing.
I mean, 40-minute bass solos.
But yeah, Death, the guy that did Death, he did an amazing job. I'm so glad they brought him back.
Mm-hmm. Good agreement that he came back, that's for sure. Wouldn't have been the same without him.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been. Like, literally, there are some characters like Death who that movie could not have been anywhere near as good without.
True.
Even for whatever short roles they played.
I'd say top favorite characters for this movie will include Death, Mozart, and Dennis.
Oh god, yes, there's going to be a lot we'll cover with you on those. Holy crap. Dennis. Oh my gosh, and then,
jumping all over the place.
Yeah, we're all over the place on this one. This was a really good one, but it's also really hard to like keep a linear track. But I mean, we're jumping all through time, so I mean, it kind of fits.
Yep. Time hopping. Magic of editing.
Oh yeah. And just the timing of everything, like, because I know this came out on VOD, and this came out a few weeks ago. Like, this is really late, but this is honestly a movie we both really wanted to see. So it was going to happen.
Had to.
Yeah, even if I had to, say I'm going to hold off, make sure to find a good day for you.
Had to be done.
Indeed. And it was so worth it. Like, this is probably, I'd agree with you, probably one of the best, like, sequels I've had, and way to end a movie, like, since The Shining, or the Dr. Sleep that we did.
I would put this up in sequel racks along with Dr. Sleep. I loved that one. And this one was a perfect ending to a great trilogy.
Yes, it was. Like, it's on like, part of, like, Back to the Future, It did what it was supposed to do, and then it ended on the right note, without dragging it too far.
I have closure. And that's the important part, ladies and gents.
Indeed. So honestly, there's no way for us to get any more in depth without like massive spoilers. So I think we're going to cut the spoiler-free review here.
Spoilers.
And then go right into spoilers. So we will catch you in a bit.